Hey there, and welcome to a brand new series called Overcoming Overwhelm, sponsored by Promo Corner. My name's Sam Caber, and with me today and the rest of the series is my good friend Alicia Kay. Alicia is a licensed and certified trauma therapist, and many of you know me from the promotional products industry from back in the day with the personal brand of Swag Sam and being named to the Rising Stars in 2020. My name is Sam Caber. Used to go by Swag Sam in this industry, and a lot of people know me here for virtual assistants, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. What we're talking about today and in the rest of these episodes is specifically how to overcome the overwhelm, which is actually the title of my latest book, which is now available for you to get on Amazon. There's a link here for you to check it out if you're interested. But in this series, Overcoming Overwhelm, myself, along with Alicia, are going to walk through the 6-step breath process. And the word breath is an acronym. And this acronym is something very simple that you can use throughout your day to catch your emotions and process them in real time. And in this first episode, we're going to walk through step one, which is breathing to slow down. And I asked Alicia to come on the podcast because we're both certified somatic breathwork practitioners, and she has the lens from being a therapist and helping a lot of people with their trauma as a therapist, where I have helped a lot of people with their trauma and breathwork journeys, addition to even deeper healing journeys to address all of these different sorts of traumas within the body. So, with that, thank you for being here and checking it out. Alicia, I would love for you to fill in the gaps and just kind of introduce yourself to the listeners as and everyone watching the show as we dive into the topic of overcoming overwhelm.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Excited to be here, and I can't wait to dive into the series with you. I am a full supporter of using the breath to overcome overwhelm. It is something that I teach in my practice all the time with my clients. And I tell my clients all the time that if I would have had the information that I have now and the training that I have now on somatic breath work, it would have saved me a ton of money. Like, I have been a trauma therapist for 20 years now, which is like 2 decades long. And I've really worked hard at trying to figure out the answer for what it's going to take to help people clear out their emotion, clear out their negative beliefs, clear out their doubts, clear out whatever is going on in their mind that is essentially causing them angst in the body, stress in their life. And so I learned all of these tools, and I have an amazing array of things that I help people with when it comes to my tool belt. But somatic breathwork is a game changer for me. So that was like the icing on the cake as far as the missing piece for what I was doing one on one with people. Because when you can get them in touch with their body and the innate intelligence that's in there that knows how to get the body and brain back into equilibrium, like, you don't have to think about what to do, right? It's a felt sense. We have an intuition. So it really has become the one modality that I wish I had a really long time ago, that is just now coming into existence with how effective using the breath is to calm the body and the nerves in your life. It's just such an amazing tool that is readily available to all of us.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I first came across breathwork in 2019 when I was going through my numbing depression that got me into really addressing my own inner world and mental health and spirituality and all the things. And when I say the word breathwork, and when both of us say the word breathwork, it's fascinating because it is such a big term. And I remember when I first came across this breathwork journey, as I'll call it, in 2019, the people that I did this experience with, they told me that breath work is going to be like how yoga was 20 years ago.
Mm.
And at the time when they said that, I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. Like was an amazing experience. I literally feel reborn and nothing else but myself and my breath, just breathing intensely for an hour. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. But these days, with the rapid pace of breath work gaining popularity, it is pretty much the case that yes, this is very much on the rise, how yoga was before. And I'm a yoga instructor now as well. And one of the things that I think a lot of people don't understand about yoga is that there's 8 limbs of yoga, and just one of those limbs or branches is the actual movement. It's called asana in Sanskrit. Another one of those is the breath. So it's kind of like, okay, we can look at yoga and think about it as a workout or whatever, but one of the main things in yoga, one of the 8 limbs actually is the breath. So a lot of what we're talking about, yes, it's popular in recent years. I'm talking like the last 5, 10 years, maybe you could say 20 years, but it's ancient. It's thousands of years old. We're tapping into this wisdom. So, with that, let's just simplify this big term of breath work because basically there's 2 things to know, and it all starts with the nervous system. We have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest, and the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. Now, unfortunately, kind of like what Alicia was saying earlier, many of us are just maintaining, not even maintaining, we're trying our best to move through the world with all the overwhelm and stressors and all the things. And what does that lead us in? What how are we feeling? We're in fight or flight. We're in the sympathetic nervous system all the time. But the thing is, we're not chasing saber tooth, or we're not getting chased by saber tooth tigers. We don't have all of these present threats for our survival, but our nervous system feels like we do, because what I said earlier, and Alicia as well, we have all these traumas and different energies that get stored in the body, and we've many of us have disconnected from our body. Now, one thing that I'd be interested to hear from you, Alicia, is when I first started going down this path of like being intentional on my quote unquote healing journey, if you'd like, I started to compare my traumas to other people. And I
Mhm.
think comparing, and I think, I know comparing your traumas is a losing battle. We all have traumas. And I'd love to hear from you being a trauma therapist, Alicia. Like, how do you speak about trauma and like allowing people to be like, oh, wow, like, yeah, I do have traumas? Because most of us are like, no, like, we don't want to look at that.
Yeah, the thing I love about the discussion of trauma is it's not what happens to you. It's what is left in the body after what happens to you. Right? And so every one of us have some experience where we have some emotional thing that occurs to us that is undigested, right? That's really unprocessed through, meaning it's able to complete the full action. We can let out the emotion, we can feel it, we can heal it, and we can get to the other side of it. But because we live in a society that doesn't accept the full range of emotion or necessarily know how to do with that or deal with that, we then feel like we're left carrying that weight of that experience on our own. And so that's how I like to describe trauma, right? It's not always the big T traumas that we think about. It's sometimes the emotional trauma or the felt sense of not being heard, not being seen, not being validated, not feeling important, not being able to use our voice. Like it's also those like secondary things and that energy that gets trapped internally, where we then develop a part of us that wants to compare our trauma or compare our life to other people, right? It's like, I don't have it as bad as that person. It's like, and that is a part of you that's actually coming up with a way to avoid whatever you're dealing with emotionally. Right. So we develop this avoidance system and internally to negate what we're feeling or to deny our feelings because that's what we've been conditioned to do that's socially acceptable. So I always try to really identify like it's not about the other, and the fact that your mind is telling yourself that story that it's not as bad as or it's not trauma means that it's almost like dissociated or you're detached from that experience.
A 100%. Thank you for explaining that and breaking that down. And as you're speaking, I remembered a funny dream from last night, and it just came to me hearing you speak. But now I have long hair. It's a newer thing for me in the past couple of years. But I woke up in the middle of the night and I got a haircut. It was supposed to be just like, a regular routine haircut, keep my hair still long. But then they shaved it all off. And I freaked out in my dream. And I remember waking up in bed and running my hand through my hair and be like, okay, good. I good, good, good. I do have long hair. And I was joking with some buddies on a group text this morning, just about whatever. And all of a sudden, for some reason, I shared that dream with them. And as I was texting them, I realized, oh wow, like 15 years ago in college, there was this older gentleman, his name's Barber John, and he used to go to all the fraternities and just all the clubs and organizations on campus, and everyone loved him. Barber John, he had a tagline, not the most mindful thing to say, but his tagline was, if we can't make you look good, you're ugly. It was funny at the time though, right? So anyways, he was testing out a new barber, and it was a woman, and he was offering free haircuts for the different barbers. So I went in one time and I couldn't see myself in the mirror, and I had, short hair, but like, generally not like bald, right? And next thing you know, she spins me around in the mirror and I'm basically bald at this point because she kept messing up that she just shaved it all off. And when I was recounting this story with my buddies this morning via text, I said something about how I was traumatized from that. And it was my dreams, my psyche processing a trauma from 15 years ago. Now, I bring that up for two reasons. One, it's a little tongue in cheek that it's saying it's a trauma. But the other part is like, actually, it kind of is. We don't need to compare that. Like I left there thinking I was going to look one way and then looked a total another way, right? So the reason why I bring that up is it is so easy to be like looking at something of your childhood and when you were told like just be quiet, or like something where your parents meant it with love and they weren't necessarily being mean, but we don't have the tools, we don't understand that as little kids, and we internalize that and that gets stuck in the body. So all of that to say, we're going to unpack all of this more, but for right now, we're back on track with the parasympathetic system and the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. Most of us are walking around in fight or flight. That is sympathetic nervous system. These deep cathartic breath work journeys are opportunities to remove and process those emotions, those energies, those traumas that have been stored in the body for a lifetime.
Mm.
And that is mimicking a trauma response that puts you into the sympathetic nervous system. But really, what I'm more concerned about, and I'm sure Alicia is as well, is teaching people the tools how to shift into parasympathetic nervous system rest and digest. As much as I love cracking people wide open and seeing their release and how much lighter they feel afterwards when they address these traumas that are stored in the body, these breathwork journeys are something you could do maybe once in your life, maybe once a year or once a quarter, but it's not something you would necessarily do every day or every week unless you're really, really going through it. For most of us, we just want to feel good, right? That's why we go to the gym in the morning. That's why we drink our coffee to give us energy, whatever your thing is. I break it down in physical, mental, and emotional. And really, breath work has the ability to address all those things. So, in this first step of the 6 step breath process, it's to breathe to slow down.
Mm.
And I'm going to give you guys just a high level overview so this makes sense. This is all from my new book, Overcome the Overwhelm, which you can find on Amazon right now. And the word breath is an acronym. The B is breathe to slow down. The R is relax to feel. The E is energy to reveal. The A is accept to surrender. The T is transform into empowering beliefs. And the H is habits to integrate. Now, here's the thing. Many of us, I hope some of you guys listening have some sort of morning routine, whether it's just stretching
Mm.
or it's meditation, it is breath work, it's journaling, or it's getting outside in nature, going for a walk, whatever it is. Most of us try to wake up, get going so that we feel clear and ready to attack the day. Yet, what happens for many busy professionals, especially in the promotional products industry, and I know this having been in the industry almost 15 years, is there are so many fires we have to put out. There's stressors left and right. In a lot of ways, that's what led me to this work because I was operating in fight or flight so much. But now I know with the 6 step breath process is when those stressors come in, the body actually processes emotions in 90 seconds, and emotions are energy in motion. So even if we do everything in the morning, and even if we have a great evening routine, so we get a good night's sleep too, sandwiched in the middle of the day is all these fires for a lot of us, or different sorts of stressors that might come up. And we don't think we have time to address them. Literally, I've gotten an email recently that said, I don't even have time to breathe. I got another email a few weeks ago that said, I wish I had more time for mindfulness in the day. I'm telling you guys what Alicia and I are teaching you right now, and what I'm teaching you in the book, Overcome the Overwhelm, is not about adding more things to your day. It's about awareness and allowing yourself to feel those energies so that they can move through you. So, with that said, the very first step, breathe to slow down. Let's paint a scene. Let's paint a scene, right? I'm a distributor. So a client reaches out and they say they need something in 5 days. All of a sudden, what happens to me? I'm like, I gotta do everything. I gotta call the supplier. Well, first I gotta ask them, okay, so what's the product you want? How many do you want? Okay, let me look at the different suppliers that might be able to make that happen. Let me make some phone calls. Let me figure it out. Now I gotta get that to the client. Then I'm waiting and constantly checking my email, see if the client is going to, or my text messages, see if they're going to respond. And then all of this to say they decide they change their mind. Or maybe they decide that they are moving forward. Either way, think about the chain of events that's going on. I get the stress that's coming from the client. I'm now putting the stress on the factory. The factory is working, the supplier, they're working with everyone internal who's now feeling that stress. That comes back to me, and now I'm pushing it back to the client, and then the client has their internal people. This is literally a ripple event of stress. Whereas if in the moment we can just slow down, right? Okay, and I'm just using this as an example. You could apply this to any situation in your life. So you feel something, all right, let me breathe. And the easiest way that you can breathe is just inhaling through your nose all the way up, sipping in a bit more at the top, and through the mouth, exhale. In the next episode of the series, I'm going to tell you why that is the most effective form of breathing. Right now, what's most important is just to slow down, because a simple rule of thumb as it relates to breath work when we want to get into rest and digest is elongating the exhales, inhaling up through the nose and letting the exhale be longer than the inhale. It's that simple. We don't need to get into anything else. In my book, you learn all about breath work and more of the science and data and different practices. But for the purposes of this episode, when you feel an emotion that you don't want to feel, allow yourself to feel it by breathing and slowing down to be with it. And with that, Alicia, I'd love to hear what's coming up for you.
Oh, so many things, Sam. I think it's incredible exactly what you're talking about, because we have all been there. We've been very conditioned to think that the faster we move, the more we're going to get done. And in my experience, that's actually not the case, right? So it's really teaching people to get out of the brain and into the body and have that immediate nervous system reset to create space, right? When we create space in the body with the breath, we actually create better decision making and better programming and less overwhelm in the brain. It is scientifically proven that elongating your exhale and inhaling through the nose resets you back into that space where you actually can feel calmer and you can make those decisions and you can do the things that you want to do without feeling frantic or scattered or putting more adrenaline into your bloodstream that just causes more stress, right? When you're in that stressed out state, you're not effective to yourself, to your clients, to anything around you, because you don't have any room to take on anything else. Like you're contracted, right? And I just love it's so simple, because we all know what it feels like to be in a stressed out state. All of us. Well, most of us, because um, when you're not in a stressed out state, you're actually clear, you're calm, you can handle that email that comes in, and you're like, yeah, okay, I got this. I might have to rearrange some things, but I'm aware of my state of being, and then I can move forward. So I love the idea of that awareness of what's going on in my body. It's like, yeah, I don't want to act like that. I don't want to be like this today. Let me just take a couple breaths. And it's simple. It's literally that simple for a reset.
At the end of the day, it is also simple, and as humans, we just tend to overcomplicate. And this system, this framework, is about simplifying it and coming back to just ease, right? So, within the spirit of providing you guys with tools, here's a call to action. And no, it's not to follow us or anything like that. It's something for you, so that you can start to experience this on your own. And this is one of the things that I've been doing the past few years, and I share with my clients, and I get amazing feedback on it. And to Alicia's point, it is so simple. For the rest of the few minutes on this episode here, I just invite you to focus on your inhales and exhales. As you hear my voice, as you hear Alicia's voice, nothing crazy here. Just slowing down your inhale through your nose and letting your exhale be even slower than the inhale. In other words, to intentionally and consciously be connected with your breath. And what I teach people is when you start to engage with your breath, when you're in conversation with another person, your mind actually starts to slow down as well. Because so often when we're talking with someone, we're thinking about what we're going to say next. And many of us, that's not news. Many of us are aware of this, but it's like, okay, what do you actually do with that? Focus on your breath. By focusing on your breath, you will be more present with them and you will retain that information as well. So, your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to focus on your breath in conversations in the next day. And with that, this is the first episode of the 6 episode series. This one went a little bit longer than what we are intending for the other ones. The other ones will be shorter. The reason why this one is a little bit longer is to give you more context. And I hope you guys enjoyed it so much. Once again, my name is Sam Kabert. You can find my new book and all the information about me at samkabert.com. Alicia, your website is aliciakcoaching.com, K-A-Y. Is that correct?
You got it.
Alicia K-A-Y coaching.com. I hope you guys got so much out of this episode, and we can't wait to see you in the next one.